Thank you, Rob. All right, I'm going to call the meeting in order. Advocate notice having been provided by the posting of notices with the Township Clerk, South Jersey Times, and all board members having been notified. A regular meeting is being held virtually, and for directions go to our website at www.logantownshipschools.org. As governed by our board policy 167, states the presiding officer may waive the rules when necessary to maintain an orderly operation of the board meeting. And thus, we'll just be having one public session where you can ask questions on any item, whether it's the agenda item or not. First item of business is we have an interim board member to be appointed. We need a motion to appoint Alexis Roan from August 26th through December 31st.
So moved. Lene.
And a second?
Second, Kristen.
Kelly Mason's presenting. All right, then we need a roll call vote for that.
Yes.
Mr. Donnelly? Yep. Mr. Donnelly?
Yes.
Mrs.
Yes.
Kegler? Mrs. Kegler? Dr. Bowen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hill?
Yes.
Mrs. Lombardo?
Yes.
Mrs. Mason?
Yes.
Mrs. Reed?
Yes.
Did Mr. Russell join us yet? I'm going to go back to Mrs. Kegler. I never heard from her. Oh, I can't. Okay.
I hear her in the distant background.
I thought maybe I did as well.
Okay. Well, let's at this point, we can move the agenda up a little bit. We can have Mrs. Roan take her oath of office.
I'm going to interrupt really quick. Sarah, I'm going to ask you to reshare your screen. I think it was sort of booted there a little bit.
Okay.
Thanks, Sarah. Much better.
Okay, good. Thanks for letting me know.
Okay, Mrs. Roan, you have the swearing-in document in front of you. You can take the oath of office.
Okay. I, Alexis Roan, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and this state under the authority of the people. So help me God. I, Alexis Roan, do solemnly swear that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law for the office of member of a school board of education, and that I am not disqualified as a voter pursuant to RS 19:4-1, nor disqualified due to conviction of a crime or offense listed in NJS 18A:12-1, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all of the duties of that office according to the best of my ability. So help me God.
Congratulations. You are now a member of the Logan Township School Board.
Thank you.
Welcome. Congratulations, Mrs. Roon.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Too bad we can't have like a fake applause thing, so you could.
Frank, can Mrs. Roan join the roll call now at this point?
Yes, she can. Yes, she's a member now, so she can be part of the roll call.
Okay.
And she can take all actions that a regular board member can take at this point. Okay, so roll call.
Mr. Donnelly,
Yes, here.
Ms. Kegler.
Yes.
I
I
hear
hear her. Yep, I hear her too, very faintly. Dr. Bowen.
Yes, here.
Mrs. Hill.
Here.
Mrs. Lombardo.
Here.
Mrs. Mason.
Here.
Mrs. Reed.
Here.
Ms. Roan.
Here.
Mr. Russell. I believe he still has not joined the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Pat, any presentations or correspondence?
The only piece of data that we have is the enrollment, and if, Sarah, would you please slide that down farther? That is the enrollment as of today. So we are still getting withdrawals and people who are enrolling, but I just wanted to keep the board aware of where we are at in regards to the enrollment.
Okay, Pat, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, let's move the agenda. Okay, so right at this point, we can open up the meeting to the public for any questions you might have for the board.
So Frank, before we do that, there is that one contract doesn't have a name on it for the RFP for the broker fit. Sarah, do you want to address that, or Frank, do you want to address that?
Which item is on the agenda? Just so we can point to it.
Sarah, could you move it down?
Number 2, A2 for contracts.
All right, we went out for request for proposals on our insurance broker for our health insurance. We got 3 responses back, 1 from our present broker and 2 from other brokers. On Monday, Sarah, Pat, and I met. We went over the proposals, and we decided to change from our present broker, and we're going to a new broker, Gallagher. And it's a cost savings that it'll save us about 40% on the present broker charges that we're paying today. It'll be about $23,000 is our savings for this. So we're recommending that the board take adopt the new broker. Is there any questions? And the Finance Committee talked about this last night, by the way. Hearing no questions, then would you just please add Gallagher to the motion number 2? Okay, now I'll open up the meeting to the public for any questions they might have about any item at all.
Okay, our first question is from Angela Mendocino at 44 Hancock Street. Regarding the device usage fee, this is a 3-part question. So I'm going to read the first one, and I'm going to let somebody answer each question at a time. What constitutes breakage? Completely non-operational or simply having issues? Will there be a fee if the device isn't broken but not operating properly?
I will. You can direct all the questions to me, and then I'll pass them on to it's either to me or to the IT department. Sarah, can you hear me?
Okay. Yes,
Okay.
I can. So that's
So could you
Do
read
I-
the first question again?
what constitutes breakage? Is it completely non-operational or simply having issues? Will
Okay.
there be a
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. I mean, it's 2 questions to the first part. Will there be a fee if the device isn't broken but not operating properly?
Okay, so we can, I think that this is, I just responded right before the meeting to Angela. She sent this about an hour ago. So the IT department helped me answer these questions. So a breakage is any physical damage to the computer. If a computer stops functioning due to faulty hardware or software, that is not a breakage. If the computer has any physical damage, that would be what the fee pays for.
And then the second question is, if parents choose not to pay the fee, can they take the device anywhere for service, repairs, or does everything have to go through the school? If the latter, is there a cap on repair replace costs?
So the repairs, these are school district issued devices. So repairs can only be done by our department on school issued devices. That second part, if there is a cap on repair or replace cost, I'm going to punt that over to Rob. Rob, can you respond to that question?
Sure. We're going to have the line item numbers of what the different parts of the computer cost in the AUP. So we'll go based on that. The most it would be to cover the full cost of the computer, which I'm sorry, I don't have in front of me. It was somewhere in the neighborhood of $246, somewhere in there.
The third question is the fee refundable once the device is turned in, or would this be considered an annual insurance type fee?
And I can respond to that. It's an insurance type fee, not a refundable fee, unless we see otherwise. But at this point, we are looking to that it's going to be an insurance type fee.
Okay, the next question is from Salim Aiden at 10 Elwood Place. What are essential employees who do not have the luxury of working from home due to the nature of their jobs supposed to do when everything is based on your time? Is your plan for students who have parents that don't fully comprehend English? What is your plan for students that are their grandparents or someone else who may not be great with technology?
Can you read the first part of that question again?
Yes. I'm going to read it exactly as it's written. What are essential employees who do not have the luxury of working from home due to the nature of their job supposed to do when everything is based on your time? I believe they're asking about parents who aren't able to be home with their children for the remote learning.
Right. So is this Salim Aiden? Is this the person who's?
Yes. Yes.
I respect that question. I wish I had the answer for that. We are trying, I'm not sure what grade your child's in, but we are trying to have the remote learning as much like a school environment. That's why we're trying to stick to a schedule. Back in the spring when students were able to connect with teacher at any time, that was not conducive to a learning environment. We're going to have more live sessions this time. That's why we're trying to keep to a schedule more like school. I have been seeing on Facebook that there are groups of community members that are trying to work together to help other parents in the community. So that could be a possibility. I wish I had a better answer for that. We are definitely interested, as we do, in supporting those parents who don't or have difficulty with English, as we translate all of our responses to parents. So we will keep that in mind, and I will work with Mrs. Laura Flynn on making sure that that we try to have an avenue for parents who have limited English as their proficiency. And then we are presently, I just am working with the administrators in discussing almost like an ongoing parent workshop. And we're trying to kick off the beginning of the school year first to getting our teachers on board with the latest technology devices and apps. But we have talked about it, and we are very seriously considering, and we believe it's really important to have parent workshops to try to guide parents through the technology also. So thank you for bringing that to our attention.
The next question is from Amy Pinterich at 53 Shady Brook Lane. I have seen some disturbing things on the news regarding remote learning. Police showing up at a home because a BB gun was hanging on a gun rack, a topless male teacher, and several other upsetting situations. I understand that educators are mandated court reports and are obligated to report things seen in homes during Google Meets. What additional training have the educators received for remote learning, not only for internet safety, but for the emotional well-being of children? What about discipline? Embarrassing a child on a video chat can have many repercussions, especially if other parents are recording and using the video inappropriately? Have they considered children being able to use a background for meets to protect the inequalities of homes? Has the idea of recording sessions been revisited for safety concerns?
I am going to take those questions because it is pretty elaborate, they're pretty detailed questions, and share them with our administration tomorrow so that we are considering those concerns for privacy. There's one question that I know I can answer, and that is that are teachers being trained? Yes, they are. We have our in-service days at the beginning of the school year. I know that Mr. Neary and Dr. Jansen have worked on a schedule to really focus on the new technology that we're using so that teachers are comfortable. And as I said, then eventually we're going to have those workshops, some workshops available to parents also. I understand that you might have seen things on television. We are very strong and that's part of our culture, part of our value is not to embarrass children. So I do not see that as being an issue, but we will be focused and trying to ensure the privacy of our families at home while also trying to have live sessions. We are considering recorded sessions only if there is a good reason why a child cannot attend a live session, and that will be discussed with the administrator, and we will deal with that on a case-by-case basis. Please know that our goal is during live sessions to be as focused on the teacher giving the instruction as possible. And the final thing I would respond is that, as I stated earlier, and in a school messenger I sent home, this is uncharted territories, paths that we haven't gone down before, really focused on more live sessions to make the remote learning as strong as possible. We are going to do everything possible. We have a strong IT department that focuses with the administration on the importance of privacy, but also the importance of strong remote live learning. So we're going to work with this. I can't answer all your questions and say definitely we have it all taken care of. But we are aware, and I will make sure that I have those questions addressed and talked about tomorrow at the administration.
The next question comes from Megan Hernandez at 34 Andrew Court. Is there a mandatory rule that students are not allowed to use their own personal Chromebooks?
No, we don't have a mandatory rule. We are, as explained in an email that I sent out earlier today, the reason we are really strongly emphasizing the use of a school device is for the protection of the student. We can use Bloxy, which is the app that we have purchased so that our students are safer on our devices. So we can use that Bloxy on a school device. Although I do think, Rob, am I saying that correctly? I would ask you to join and see if I am correct in my response.
Specifically with regards to Bloxy, Mrs. Haney?
Yes. This year we're going to be using it on district-owned devices. Am I correct? And that's why we are asking parents to use district-owned devices.
Yeah, there's a number of reasons that we're using district-owned devices, but Bloxy is what will keep. It gives the teachers a little more control over what the students can and can't see. It keeps them on task, and it keeps them safe from going on to any websites that might cause them harm.
Mrs. Hernandez, I would ask you, I'm not sure if you had the chance, I tried to get that school messenger out earlier today, but I was very busy with other issues. I would ask you to read that over in the school messenger I sent home today. And then if there are more questions, I know you've been in communication with the administration and I think possibly also IT. So please continue to ask questions, but that might help you with the information that you're asking.
Pat, I have a question. It may actually be better suited for Rob, but when you refer to district-owned devices, the devices that were sold in the fall for $25, are those included, or are they like basically wiped and now they're considered personal devices?
So those are no longer I'm sorry, Pat, did you want me to answer?
No,
that?
no, Rob, you are perfect. You have more of an expertise in this area than I do.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So those were district-owned devices. Once they were sold, they were taken out of our Google Management Console. What devices we're referring to are the ones that we currently manage, that we have control over, and those would be the ones that were purchased a year ago, and the ones that are coming.
So, and Mrs. Hill, we know that we have purchased, now they're not all in, but we have a district-owned device for every student, kindergarten through 8th grade. They have been ordered, they're back ordered. So until those are in, we're going to have to depend on other parents having other devices. But one of the reasons why we spent our CARES Act funds and our digital divide funds on district-owned devices is so that we could protect our children and have live sessions and have teachers monitor where children are going on the internet while they're using our devices, as well as having stronger assessments. Because we're able to assure that through Bloxy that the children are taking the assessment as they should be. So until we get those devices in, we're going to need to lean on non-district owned devices. But as soon as they come in, it really is, that's the best method. That's why we've purchased it for every student K-8.
Okay, and so that fee would not be imposed until those devices are all in and distributed.
I think that that makes sense, that anybody who has a district-owned device, and we're working on that right now about the distribution. We just met today, the IT department and Dr. Jansen and I, in trying to make sure that especially grades 4 to 8 first are making sure that they have all district-owned devices first. And then as the other devices come in, 3rd grade, 2nd grade, and going down to kindergarten first. So once everyone has their own device, then that's when we would be asking for that people the option to participate in the device usage fee.
Okay, sorry. And one more question. What is the plan for the preschoolers then to work remotely?
The students we're not giving them a device. So Mrs. Green has a schedule that I believe she has shared, and if she hasn't, I can do that. For the students, very similar to what they did back in the spring. But we can't put them on devices because we're not allowed to by the pre-K program. Children can't be on devices for a long period of time.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Amy Pinterich, I believe, at 53 Shady Brook Lane, asks about Bloxly again. I think we may have already answered this. Would you please explain Bloxly a bit more? It will be hard to supervise everything the children are doing on the same computer at all times. Will Bloxly be able to be monitored during non-instruction times?
I'm going to hand this over to Rob. Rob,
Yes.
you don't have to go into any more explanation of Bloxy, because I think that can be addressed in that school messenger, but you can possibly answer that second question for.
Yeah, our position is we're only going to be utilizing Bloxy during teaching times, right? So when the student is in class with their teacher, they will be utilizing Bloxy to if they're giving a test, to lock down to the test. If they have them on certain websites that they need to get on, they'll be making sure that they're on that and keeping them on task. It will not be used outside of school times, though.
Okay, other questions?
Yep. The next question is from Malin McCloskey at 109 Robbins Run West. Will my kids be able to complete iReady at any time, or will it need to be completed by 3:05?
I am pretty sure, Mrs. McCluskey, that iReady, there's going to be a time assigned for that, but I would imagine that if they go over the 3:05 and they're working on iReady, nobody's going to stop them. The idea, though, is with the schedule is keeping students involved in instruction, in teaching and learning during a regular school day. If they want to go beyond that and continue to work on iReady, I do not see any negative reason why that would not work out for your family.
Angela Mendocino, 44 Hancock Street. Based on a previously asked question, is it possible to have a student attend a live session without using the camera? Has it been considered that seeing other students live may be a distraction, and not showing students during instructional sessions would allow for the recording of lessons?
Could you repeat that?
Based on a previously asked question, is it possible to have a student attend a live session without using the camera? Has it been considered that seeing other students live may be a distraction, and not showing students during instructional sessions would allow for recording of lessons?
I'll answer the first part of that question. I'm going to, again, state that tomorrow we're having an administration meeting, so that's going to be a great question to present to the administrators, and that would be something that I think we're going to be working on as we move through this process and see how teachers feel about that. It's going to be really the relationship and the situation that the teacher sets up with the children. That second part of the question, can you read that back to me?
The part where the part about seeing other students live may be a distraction, and not showing students.
And then that part of
Right, not showing students during instructional sessions would allow for recording of lessons.
We're going to, again, I don't have all the answers to these questions because it's never been done before, but I will stick with the answer to the question that we will be looking at these questions tomorrow from the lens of all the administrators when we're together. And I'll make sure that we answer the questions as best as we can and put them on the FAQ too. That's one of the reasons why I held off doing an FAQ, finishing up the FAQ too, until after tonight. And we'll make sure that we're addressing those questions that you're posing tonight, Angela.
Salim Aiden, 10 Elmwood Place. Would it be possible to have 2 live sessions, one for the morning and one for the afternoon? I understand the need for creating as close as possible classroom environment, but as an employee in the healthcare community, we work different shifts, which include 12 hours at a time. A recording of the live classroom, only available with parental login, may be beneficial for us. I do not want my child to be marked absent or fall behind on his education due to my job schedule. I think we need to work on other options that can be made available to certain situations.
And I would agree with that last statement, Salim, that we have to work with parents in specific situations that can't be changed. What we are trying not to do is that children are at home and they're logging in at any time of the day. We're trying to keep children on a schedule, but all the administrators have talked about the fact that when there is a circumstance beyond the control of a parent, and you sound like this situation you're referencing sounds like it's something to be considered, then the principal will be working with the teacher and with the parent on trying to address that. We have already talked about that and said that we have to work as partners. But overall, we're trying to have most students adhere to a schedule.
Amy Pinterich, 53 Shady Brook. Why won't Block C be available? Why won't Block C be used during non-instruction time? I'm sorry, there's more to her question. I apologize. Hold on one second, please. I just have to format it.
That's all right. I'm going to just answer that. I think that, Rob, correct me if I'm wrong, but the point is that Block C is not going to be used outside of school time. Am I correct in that?
That is correct. Do you want me to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yes, please.
So Bloxy primarily is our web filter, right? That's what we use to make sure the kids that we're keeping them safe while they're online. That will continue to function outside of school hours if they're logged in with their district issued username and password. So if they've logged into their Chromebook after hours, after class time, they're still going to be governed by the web filters that we have set up for our devices. What we're not going to be doing after school hours is conferencing with them, right? We're not going to be looking at their screens. We're not going to be, whatever we might do with Blocksy that is teacher student engaging, we're only going to be only the web filter will be available after school hours.
That clarifies it. Thank you. Thank you,
Sure.
Rob.
Yep.
Much better at this than I am.
That's not true.
Malin McCloskey at 109 Robbins Run West. Thanks for answering my question about iReady. My concern is that my kids will be at work with me or at home with someone who is not IT savvy. So can they complete it when I get home? In other words, how independent is the afternoon? We need to go to work and cannot monitor. Also, will the teachers answer questions immediately as if they are in class?
I'm going to answer the second part of the question. If it's within the workday, teachers are going to work really hard to have a really ongoing conversation with the students. In regards to working independently, Jake, I'm going to ask you, because iReady, do you see any issue with what Mrs. McCluskey is asking about her children completing iReady later on in the afternoon?
No, yeah. In terms of iReady, I think we have that schedule in an effort to mirror the day. But iReady is one of the things where the kids are working independently, so I really don't see an issue if it's outside the school day. I think our goal is at the end of the week, we're looking for kids to get anywhere between 50 to 75 minutes per subject. So we don't want to exceed the 90-minute mark, whether that's done exactly at 1 o'clock to 1:30 or it's done from 4 to 4:30. I don't think it's going to be a pressing issue.
Thank you, Jake.
Okay. Amy Powell, Eagle Farms. Some doctor's appointments have to be during school hours. Can iReady obligations be done later or earlier in the same day, or must they be done during the scheduled time slot? Obviously, we would try our best to schedule appointments not during live instruction, but sometimes we don't have control over the time slots we get. My child has monthly appointments that occur during school hours.
Amy, I would absolutely. First, I appreciate you working really hard to try to and understanding why, as much as possible, a schedule is going to be critical to mirror most like what a school schedule would look like. But as you do during the regular school year, when there are doctor's appointments, you let the administrators know, you let the nurse know, and we work around that. So it would be the same type of accommodations that we make. Thank you.
That was the last question.
And I just on one more thing, Amy, I did not address this one. The iReady, the question about completing iReady at any other time, I would reference what Jake said, right, Jake? That can be done. It's meant to be done independently, but we just don't want to go over the total amount of time that we want students to be on iReady for the entire week.
Yeah, ultimately, we would love for them to get it done before the 3:05 end of day, but we understand there's other things going on in the afternoon. So that's one of those things that can be pushed if needed.
Thank you.
Yep.
And that was the final question.
All right. Thank you very much for your questions. And does the board have any questions on any of the agenda items? Including, I think there's 2 additional agenda items, Pat.
Yes,
I'll pull them up now.
Okay.
They're the only things that we did not reference. These are out of district student contracts. There are students that go out of district, and these contracts came in after the early part of the week. So since they are for the school year, we wanted to get them approved in this month's board agenda.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Again, does the board have any questions on any of the agenda items? Okay, hearing none, we'll need a motion on the minutes as they were listed, the action items, the bill list, and the financial reports. And the finance committee met last night. We went over the bill list and the financial reports, and we're recommending that the board adopt them as listed.
So moved, Kelly.
And a second,
Second.
that was Brian.
Yeah.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Donnelly?
Yes.
Mrs. Kegler?
Yes.
Dr. Bowen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hill?
Yes.
Mrs. Lombardo?
Yes.
Mrs. Mason?
Yes.
Mrs. Reed,
Yes.
Ms. Roan,
Yes.
Mr. Russell? Sure. I don't believe he joined us.
I don't think so. I don't see him on the. Okay, thank you, everyone. So now we'll go on to committees.
Scroll
So I think-
down.
All right, so Gloucester County School Boards, of course, nothing is going on in that, and probably not till October. Caroline, anything for New Jersey school boards?
No, nothing. The legislative committee is working on something for a vote tomorrow. So just read your the school board's information that you get in your emails.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sure.
Christian, anything on home and school?
I have not heard anything since Katie Brummett, the president, moved. And I'm curious if I should reach out. Like, I don't know that the home and school knows what their role is going to be while we're remote or what's going on. Do you guys anyone maybe have any information or recommendations of who I should contact to get any information about home and school at this point?
I don't know. Does anybody know who the new president is of home and school?
Hi, this is Lisa. I would suggest you call Barb Bellinger. Yeah, I would call Barb and talk to her.
Oh, we're going back to Barb. Okay.
Yeah, not really
Cool,
happy about
Barb.
it.
All right, I'll
Yeah.
contact her and see. I haven't heard from anyone, and like I said, I'm not really sure if they know what their role is or is going to be, or what their plans are for this school year. So I would like to reach out to someone so that I can update the community. So I will try to reach Barb and see if he has any suggestions.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Sarah, John Russell just joined.
Okay.
Kingsway, we had our board meeting was canceled from last week and was rescheduled for this past Monday. It was a 4.5-hour meeting. Most of the meeting was referring to whether school should open or not. Kingsway is scheduled to open September 8th, and there was a lot of questions about whether they should open because of the fact that they had that COVID outbreak over at Kingsway. There was a lot of concern about opening the schools anyway, but eventually it came down to they're going to stay with their schedule and open September 8th on a hybrid system. Is there any new business?
Frank, can I ask you a question about that?
Sure, you can.
I was on that call and I felt like they skipped right over you for that vote. Do you not get a vote, or did I just not hear you?
They came back to me.
Oh, okay. I missed it. My phone was dying and I was like, they skipped right over Frank. So I wasn't sure how that worked. So I wanted to check with you. Thank you.
They came back to me.
Oh, well, that's nice. Good.
Jason with me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your care and concern, Kristen.
Frank, I'm just curious, what was the vote?
It was there's 10 board members, so it's seven to stay open and 3 to close the school and go virtual.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So, Lene, just so you know, originally they weren't going to vote on it at all. A board member had to make a motion so that they could vote on it because they were just going to go ahead with our original plan. There were about 3 or 4 members that had concerns. And what I did like is that they had an open and honest discussion, although it was 4.5 hours, about how they felt about opening and not opening. It went a little further than it needed to go. But it was nice, that they, did do that. And some people changed their minds based off of all the really good information they got from the administration. So it gave them a good opportunity to ask questions in the public so everyone could hear the questions that they had. And there were a lot of really good questions from the public as well. So I thought it was very informative. I think a lot of it was based off of emotion from, what had happened previously in the media at Kingsway. But
that's exactly right. There was a lot of concern because they at this point they only know of 7 confirmed cases as of Monday. They think there's a lot of more cases out there, but they can't get cooperation from the parents. The parents are either not responding to calls from the Department of Health, or they're hanging up on them when they do get the calls. So there isn't a real idea of exactly whether it's just the 7 or there's a much larger issue out there. So the concern was about opening schools up because of that. But Kingsway, Dr. Lavender feels pretty convinced that Kingsway will be able to handle the situation. And even they won't, because they're not open until September 8th. That's way past the quarantine period for most of those cases anyway. So they're in a different situation than we are. They have the ability to disinfect the building on a regular basis, where because of staff shortages and funding cuts at Logan, we're in a different situation.
Yeah, Frank, I just want to add something about Dr. Lavender, his concern about contact tracing and the ability to get a straight answer from students and families. He was somewhat frustrated with that. And I understand, but I think that's our issue when we're moving forward, when districts have to be responsible for contact tracing, when students are in the building, and cooperation from families. And Dr. Lavender reported that some parents would not cooperate because they did not want their child to be excluded from sports. Right?
Yes, exactly. Right? Yeah, and it sounds like based on the conversation Monday, that it's a very convoluted process to get information from the Department of Health.
Yes,
they have to get information about who was involved, and Kingsway got some information based on social media, and that's how they were able to get some of the kids' names. They were hoping to get names from those children, but again, some parents aren't cooperating at all, and they can't. And they only report to Kingsway. So if a child goes to Logan Township schools and he has it, they can't contact us to let us know that child was, because he's a student at Kingsway. They can't tell us that child is also a Logan resident. So that's another issue.
Yeah, the contact tracing, I thought, was confirmed my worries about if we do have an outbreak during one school is in session. Like Dr. Lavender had the luxury that there was 2 weeks in between right now. It did scare everybody, but at least they have the 2 weeks to quarantine. But it wasn't affirming, it wasn't confident building. The fact that he referenced that it's a complicated process and not straightforward. And if we were in session and we do have an outbreak, it's not going to be easy to do the contact tracing. And that was one of my concerns. So it's just affirming that the multifaceted worries that we have about opening.
Yeah, and it doesn't get any easier when the CDC just changed its guidelines today. So it makes it even more difficult to try and get information.
Yeah. I think the only hopeful sign that we have is that now every week we are getting live data, recent data, like it's a week late, but at least we're getting data that we can compare the numbers. We never had that before, especially for the Southwest region. And I keep on sharing that with the board. So that's what we should be continuing to look at.
So Pat, Dr. Lavender gave out some really good information from CHOP Hospital that he said is more accurate for us than kind of some of the outdated information that we're going off of, which basically puts us in a zone where our schools should not be opening. So I agree with everything that we're doing, but it's important to also look at some of that data. It's on the Children's Hospital's website, and I can share that link with you as well that he shared with his community.
Yeah, I would appreciate that. And Dr. Lavender's been very open with sharing those things with us too. But in this case, it'd be much more direct if you just share it with me. Thank you, Kristen.
Yep.
Yeah, the more data we have to look at, the more that we can be accurate, not accurate, but at least informed.
Okay. Any old business to discuss?
No.
All right. Then we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And a second.
Second, Kelly.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
All right.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for all participating. And again, Mr. Young, welcome aboard.
Good night.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
Good night.
Thanks, everybody.
Good
Have a
night.
good night.